Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. First, I just had to start this studio vlog off by giving you all a massive thank you for all of the love towards the new compact palettes. They sold out in like 24 hours, which I honestly was not expecting because I completely understand that when they are one of a kind, very, custom colored palettes, that I completely get if the people that are looking at them just aren't necessarily super into the remaining colors that are left. But they all went, which there is a pile of packages that I will show you in a second. But because they are all gone, I am now working on, of course, finishing the manufacturing of all of the DIY kits and everything, which I'm sure you will see in this video. But I also need to essentially create a restock like ASAP. But I'm actually looking moderately presentable at like 9 a.m. because I actually have some errands to run, which, I mean, the bigger news here is I'm actually leaving the house for once. But because I'm going to be pouring so much, I mean, I always am pour painting a lot, but the production is probably going to be increasing like tenfold, so I need to go pick up more paint, of course. Although there is something that I want to create, which you'll see it later, so I don't want to like over-explain, but I essentially want to create all of these pre-mixed pouring paints for myself, so I don't have to like spend 2 hours every time that I go to pour paint mixing up all of the colors that I pretty much use all of the time. So I have some bottles, and I will show you what I end up picking up at Michael's, but I also need to go pick up another 3D printer because production needs to increase greatly, which is not me complaining because I'm so grateful that these products are so popular that I am in need of another 3D printer, but that was not necessarily how I thought my week was going to go, so this is probably going to be a moderately chaotic week of painting, printers, and palettes. There's a video title. Yeah, I hope you all enjoy this most likely chaotic week of a studio vlog. So here's these stack of boxes that I mentioned. I'm gonna go around to the other side here so you can actually see them all. Very tight studio, not very convenient for vlogging like this. This is not half of the orders, but this is what I'm going to be taking to the post office today while I wait for different pieces to print. I have a lot of things going on in this closet at the moment. That one is printing lids, that one is printing wells at the moment, and then the big guy is gonna get moved and I'm gonna get another one of those is the plan today. So yeah, you can just see general chaos of product pieces over there as well. But I do still need to make the labels for these, which I think I'm gonna do once I come back from picking up the paint and stuff, and then take these after lunch. I know that's not like the craziest pile of boxes that you've probably ever seen because I know there's a lot of artist YouTubers that have like just hundreds and hundreds of orders, but this is a lot for me. My products, they are in pretty limited drops, so to have this many boxes is just, I don't know, satisfying for me. I definitely did not think that I would be shipping this many packages out in like one day ever, and this isn't even all of the ones that I could ship out. Yeah, I've got to go buy a stupid amount of paint, so I guess I will show you what I pick up in the next clip, presumably. Well, I'm back from errands with 4 incredibly heavy bags of paint, and I figured we would take a look at all of the colors and stuff that I picked up. First thing I'm going to show you before I flip the cameras, just because it's like a busting out of the bag and it's just ridiculous, is this massive thing of white, which I was so thrilled to see such a large quantity of white paint. You have no idea. I'm sure if you're used to pouring, you know that you go through like a disproportionate amount of white paint compared to everything else. So when I saw such a large quantity that even includes a pump, it thrilled me to no end. So had to start off with that, even though it's like so ridiculous, but it brings me great joy. I guess before we get into all of the craziness, I just wanted to sort of explain, I guess, what this paint trip was attempting to accomplish. But basically I bought all of these massive bottles. Honestly, they're a little larger than I would have liked, but I just like this bottle type. It's like airbrush medium sort of a type of bottles that it has the twist up cap on it and then you can squeeze stuff out. But what I wanted to start doing, which honestly I probably should have done like months, years, whenever ago, considering how much pour painting I now do, is I want to pre-mix all of the colors that I typically mix up for the pours that I do. I definitely have my favorite colors that I'm constantly mixing up, and so I'm going to pre-mix them into these bottles, so they are all ready to go whenever I want. I do have some, it's not those ones, but it's kind of like in a organizer like that. I have one of those that is like pre-mixed poured colors, but they're in like the typical, they're in like this size of tube. This isn't one of them. So what is this, 2 fluid ounce? Yeah. So I have like small 2 fluid ounce colors that I do use when I'm pouring, when I don't want to mix up like a lot of one color, but I want a lot of colors in bigger quantities so that I can just make batches at a time, and then I'm good to go for, you know, one pouring session, a couple, whatever it is for that paint, and not have to like worry about mixing up like the 30 odd colors that take me like 2 hours every pouring session, and it just constantly adds on to the time that already, you know, takes a decent amount of time. And so this I figured was a great solution. It also means that I can start looking at possibly smaller waves, because right now I'm like waiting and doing like 50 odd paint jobs at once, because I know I'm going to be mixing all of this paint up and everything, and you know, might as well get it all done in one shot. So I'm very excited about these and to start using them. But now that that boring explanation is out of the way, let's actually get into the paint. I'm not entirely sure how these bags are organized. I do know the lady was like, "Oh, are you guys teaching a class to my mom and I?" And we both looked at each other. It's like, no, it's all for me. So there's clearly a lot of paint here, but I did actually pick up some of these ready to pour colors. I have this one that I wanted to replace that I have been mixing in with another navy blue, because at one point this was like the only navy blue paint that I could buy when there was sort of like a paint apocalypse in like the middle of a pandemic, when paint stock was low here at least, and I desperately needed some. So I picked this up, and the mixture in this, like the pouring medium, probably some silicone oil, whatever, it reacts extremely interestingly to the mixture that I typically make up. And so I did pick up a few specific colors that I thought would be cool to mix up with my typical mixture, just to, you know, have around. So I did end up picking up another one of these, which I'm sure we'll get to at some point. But I did actually pick up a large thing of black, because I don't really use that much black, because it kind of just muddies things up. And I know that from you guys' purchase history and stuff, that the lighter palettes are definitely the ones that seem to be more favored. So I try and not use that much black or do that many black based things. Like, I still like to for variation, because I know there are some that like the metallic ones and stuff, but I don't use a lot of black, and so I don't really know if I'm gonna mix up my own. I'm sure I will, but just having some on hand, because I'm not really looking at mixing up that much all of the time, I figured would be useful, other than just keeping in mind the idea of the differences in the pouring sort of textures and things that happen. So I also got that in silver in a slightly smaller bottle size. This bag also has the gold, which, I mean, there's like other things, like I couldn't decide on a gold that I wanted to pre-mix, so I figured let's just get these ones and solve all of my problems. My mom also picked this up. I mean, we went together and I like basically said, I had a little bit of like a vague wish list of like buying large containers like this sort of thing for the colors that I do use all of the time. But then I also told her, like, you know, if you see an interesting paint color, whatever, that you think would look cool in the palettes, like pick it up and throw it in the cart. And she was like doing all of this like math for paint prices, and realized that this was like $15 or $16, I think, and it was actually like, if you bought these individually, it would have been like $30. And I do definitely use a lot of these metallic colors. There's quite a few in that thing there. And so I said, yeah, throw that in the cart, which the cart looked pretty insane, honestly. This might be like the most paint that I've ever bought in one shot. It's going to come in very handy. So this is a DecoArt metallic paint value pack. So this thing has pewter, silver, sapphire, pink tourmaline, champagne gold, rose gold, 24 karat gold, and copper. So I definitely have some of these already, and I use them a lot in palettes, and I really like the DecoArt metallic, and so that is a pack of those to then use. And I did sort of vaguely mention this, but you will see quite a few of these size of containers, which is just like the pretty basic craftsman Smart stuff, but when you add pouring medium and whatever, it really doesn't matter. It looks incredible still. And so there's a few colors that I always know that I grab, like a bright yellow specifically, orange, which is kind of there's always a paint color called orange. You will see more of those as well. Also grabbed a couple more of these neon colors that I've been really liking mixing in. This fluorescent red looks incredible in a lot of the palettes. I'm sure you probably recognize it because it's a pretty distinctive color. It's just really unique, honestly. On camera it's looking way more pink on the screen than it does in person. You probably know if you have a palette that has this in it because this is the only color that looks like it. And also I use this fluorescent purple a lot all of the time too. Another one of the pre-ready to pour colors. This one was just like a really interesting looking purpley blue. It's called Blue Violet. My repurchase of the navy. More actually, yeah, this isn't, some of the colors that I ended up using don't come in like these. What is this? An 8 fluid ounce bottle, so I got 4 fluid ounce ones. So violet I use all of the time. Also the holiday green, holiday red. Again, I'm grabbing these paints so much that I just recognize the colors, so that's what I went with. Dark orange, another holiday red because I really do love that and use that all of the time. A fuchsia, and then some smaller colors that didn't come in bigger colors that I knew I was going to want to pre-mix up. I'm just going to take all of these out of the bag so that you can actually hear me talk without a rattly bag, which probably has been extremely annoying. TLC is like one of my all-time favorite colors to add into things. It's just such a nice dark teal color. A couple of bronze colors. This is just a really nice like aged golden bronze that looks incredible in palettes. And the final bag, because the one bag was literally just that giant thing of white, we have the squash balls that are for the printer that do not need to be in here. More ready to pour stuff. This is in purple neon. Another giant thing of this deep turquoise. I wanted to see what it looked like compared to this stuff. And again, like I've mentioned, this stuff reacts a lot differently than my mixture ends up doing. So grabbed one of those. A true red because the holiday red is a little on the deeper side. So I'm hoping that this one is more on like the vermilion, like orange red side of things. This, oh yes, I was very excited to see this. This is, I believe, did I have one of those? No. This is a giant thing of ice blue metallic paint, which I believe is the one that looks absolutely incredible, and it does this weird thing where it doesn't really mix together itself, and so when you put it into palettes it looks incredibly cool and does all of these like weird bubbling things. You probably, again, if you've seen the different palettes, this is one of those colors that's very easy to recognize. So picked up a giant, absolutely giant bottle of that, so that's going to take a while to go through. Also an Ocean Breeze large one, another pre-poured one in pink neon, a large neon blue, another violet again because it's a smaller bottle and I know I use it all of the time, and then 2 of these teal colors. The larger one was not in this teal color, and I know that this is the good stuff, not the, I think the other one was called Peacock or something. This is the deeper one. It is the superior metallic teal, let me tell you. And so I really want to pre-mix a bunch of this stuff as well. So that's why the double bottle there. And yeah, those are all of the paints that I picked up. I know there's like kind of, I don't want to say like a weird color mixture, but there's definitely some colors that I know that I have because I've bought like a ton of the like multi-pack sets that you probably have seen in a Michaels, and I know I have lots of doubles of certain colors that I can basically like do this idea to, where I can, you know, mix up the 4 fluid ounces of paint with stuff, and I just know that I have the doubles already. So didn't buy more of that, just picked up the colors that I know I constantly am going through and then therefore probably don't have those doubles. But yeah, I'm probably not going to do this now because I really need to put together the new printer, which I'm probably not going to film because I literally have put one of these together before on camera. But I will show you a before and after of what the closet looks like. So here is of course the new printer. I really did not do too much to it, although I'm going to. You probably, well, hopefully you can hear me because I have my mic facing towards me. So you probably can't hear exactly how much noise this printer is making at the moment, but it is something else. Normally I do change like all the fans out, and I figured, you know, I really need this printing products for me right now, so I was quite willing to live and see what the noise was like. But it is like a jet plane in here. Like, I know I have two other printers going, but the entire noise that you will be able to hear is this printer. It is unreal. So I am going to I'm gonna live with it for like a couple of days because I do really need to catch up with orders. I know this might not be a big deal to a lot of people, but I film like right beside this and I need to literally be able to think. So even if you couldn't maybe hear it on camera, it's just so annoying to me that I will not be able to get any work done. Like, I'm about to live in my headphones for the next 24 to 48 hours while this thing prints away at its current noise decibel level. So it's actually been a few days since I've filmed anything because I fell down a bit of a product development rabbit hole. But I was just thinking about, you know, I was working on this massive wave of compact palettes. It's probably going to be definitely the largest wave or restock of my store for the rest of the year. If they sell it super quick, then I'm gonna try and make as many as I can swiftly because, you know, I know people possibly want these for gifts and then there's shipping delays all over and all of that. So I'm fully trying to like do these as fast as possible. And I just thought about, you know, if this is like my main end of year wave, then I should probably look at if there's anything else I want to maybe produce and add to the store, so I'm not like annoyingly adding things later when everyone else has already made their order. So I started designing and working on one thing, which I'm not going to talk about right now because it's kind of gone on a bit of a back burner because I thought of something that I was much more excited about looking at. This sort of all started because I was thinking about right now what I have in my art supplies like storage line. You know, I have the brush holder now, the paint tube storage, I also have a fine liner storage now. I mean, all of these have just been, I want something extremely practical for me to hold things of varying art supply degrees, and then everyone else also wants them, so I mass produce them to a degree. And something that I have never looked at but have always thought about was more of a pencil holder. Obviously, I'm very much into colored pencils as well as watercolor, so it's definitely something up my alley that I was interested in looking at. But also recently I've been seeing all of these really cool stores that have been 3D printing various products that have like absolutely nothing to do with art supplies whatsoever, but in all of these cool filament colors, and I was kind of jealous because literally all of my products basically are white, which is practical. You know, most of the things that I am making should be in white, you know, paint palettes and all of that kind of stuff, but the idea of being able to play around with various colors of things sounded very appealing. So I messed around with a couple ideas, sketched some things up, and eventually I came up with this concept. So as you can see, this is a colored pencil organizer. Name to be determined, but really this can hold much more than just colored pencils. This one I just have it stacked with a bunch of Crayolas because I'm going to be taking pictures of these later today probably. Yes, there has been like so much prototyping for this. I have my originals here too, but this is very much like blamed on that IKEA light behind me, which I will like insert actual footage here since you barely can see it behind me there. But that IKEA light is one of my like favorite things. It is this colored pencil color changing light, which I'm pretty sure I mentioned in my gift guide last year, and a lot of people were also really obsessed with it. I just think it's super cool to have like art supplies related decor and things around the studio. I don't know. I personally love the like aesthetic of art supplies, I guess you could say. And a lot of the time things are like almost too school-y or like preschool-y, but that colored pencil light is perfect, and I was fully on board at looking at maybe, I mean, I wasn't gonna produce a light, I mean, maybe. No, but the idea of looking at creating something a little more colorful and fun for art supplies organization, I thought would be an interesting change up for things. It's not like this is any less useful than the like more boring white various organizers that I make, but this has been so much fun to work on, which I will show you my various prototypes and stuff that I have laid out beside me here, and then we will get into the colors, because oh boy, do I have plans. So this was actually my original one. Now, first of all, designing this thing was interesting because I'm very much not a 3D modeler, so this is generally, you would think, a pretty easy shape. You know, you have a hexagon that then tapers up, and then I needed to like split it so that I could print the two pieces in different filament. Well, I did clearly eventually get it, but I think I did everything like 2 or 3 times because I realized that there was like a better way that I needed to be doing it, because the way that I'd originally done it wasn't going to work. But anyway, this was the original that I printed in this, I think it's called Galaxy Blue, because we were going to be sticking with my personal aesthetic here. So this one's like my prototype, because there's been a lot of changes to this since then. So here's what this one looks like. It has this like matte brown, excuse all the band-aids, I was attacked by plastic that was not from this, and I clearly lost. Yeah, this is the original, so it is like this open circular holder with, of course, the wood top in this like nice matte, I think it's called peanut color, and then this galaxy color. Well, something that I knew I probably wanted to look at, but I wanted to start here and then look at switching things up to see if this would actually work, is I personally cannot stand massive like vat jar things to put pencils in, because let's see. We have a knife here, so excuse this. Because when you like have not that many things in it, it just, you know, it finds the opposite point and like just collapses in on itself. And when you have like multiple things doing that, it's extremely annoying, to me at least. So I knew I wanted to look at putting dividers in this thing, which is when I came up with this second prototype, which is in a color that we will get into, because I like the idea so much. I was looking at colors that I wanted to start producing it in, and we will get into the colors, but this is one of the filaments that I ordered for being one of the colors. So this is actually not together, and this is still not the final version. So this is basically what it is. It's this like ring of, this is the final filament. So let's talk about this too. So I ended up finding this. It's technically a marble filament, which marble filaments are supposed to look like marble, as the name would suggest, but normally of course they'd come in like black, white, and gray sort of marble look, you know, traditional marble. But this one is called coffee marble, which I'd like never seen before. But because it is a marble filament, it has this slight texture, like fleck to it, and because it has that slight flecky texture to it, it looks really like the wood of a colored pencil. I know there is actually wood filament, but it's generally pretty problematic to try and print with because of the like additives in the filament, and it was also, most wood filaments are like much darker than I was going for. This compared to the original, that was kind of why I didn't really like this original color. It was just a little too dark for what I was looking for. So I'm very happy that I found this coffee marble. It is perfect. All of the pencils will most likely be made from this from now on, assuming I continue producing these and they are popular. So that is the story of the filament. So this secondary prototype, I put 4 dividers in, and it's the same sort of idea that it has the piece that goes on it. So this one is very similar to the last one, except I added the dividers and I maybe messed with the height, I think, of this piece, so it was a little bit taller and looked a little more colored pencil-like, but overall very similar. But I still wasn't quite happy with this. The scallops on the inside, they do fit very well, but you're not going to be able to see because there's a million lights in front of me. You can just see a little bit of where the light sort of passes through, where there are a few very small gaps. It wouldn't have been like a structural problem necessarily because they were going to get glued together extremely well. It just didn't feel quite as polished as I wanted to, so I then redesigned it again to what is now the final version, which is in a different color because I was messing around with stuff. and this is the final version. I know pink, which if you've been around here, probably have been around for the gouache set Pink Saga, in which I proclaimed that pink really wasn't my thing and I would not have purchased a jelly gouache set in a pink color, and then all of the comments were like, I own the pink one. So I've got your back here. No, but even though pink really isn't my thing, this I do feel is very aesthetically pleasing, just not my aesthetic. So hopefully if it's yours, you will appreciate this pink pencil color. So this is actually the final one. So I downed the inserts to 3 because the dividing by 4, it just felt like the segments themselves were a little too small. The nice thing is the divider not only stops the problem that I personally cannot stand with large containers to hold pencils in of things just going all over. Because there are dividers in it, it means that if you wanted to store like fine liners in one section or just different types of pens or pencils in the different areas, or like I did in this one, I color organized them. So there's like a cool tone one, a warm tone section, and then like a neutral tone section. It's just better for organization to have the dividers in. So the final version has the 3 dividers, and it's going to come in a lot of colors. More colors than I actually have with me right now, so I will end up showing you later because I'm waiting for some filament colors to show up and I want to just test them out, see what I think of them. But yeah, I'm so excited about these. They're just so cool. I love, like I mentioned, supplies and just decor things that looks like art supplies. So I hope you're into this as well. I have, what do I have? Yeah, okay. So obviously I have shown you this one already, this nice sky blue color. I also have like an actual final version of the mint, and this one I put various pens in so you can see that it does work for a bunch of different stuff. It's just the pencils are a bit taller than the pens, but this has like some mechanical pencils, some just generic ballpoint pens that I had around, and then some like other colored pens that I thought would look aesthetically pleasing in photos. So yeah, the original color line was going to be this mint color, the blue, the pink, and then to keep things classic, a nice traditional yellow pencil color. But honestly, I thought those looked so good that I've ordered more filament colors to try out. Just the possibilities with this line and being able to print in various filament colors, I could see myself doing like limited edition colors for, you know, maybe different times of year. There's just so many cool filament colors that I never get a chance to print with. Like, this is literally the most physical filament colors that I have ever bought in my life. I pretty much only ever buy black, white, and gray, and that's it. I think before like this week, I maybe bought a total of 5 other colors, and that in like the 3 years that I've been 3D printing, and I bought like 4 colors in one day. We're branching out, but the idea of being able to expand and print these pencils in so many cool colors, I hope you like the concept. Like I mentioned, there are more coming, so when I have those, I'm going to just generally do a black and a white pencil, since those are filament colors that I have always around, and I know maybe not everyone is into the like super flashy colors, so I figured it couldn't hurt to at least make a couple of like display ones so that I could take pictures of them to see what they looked like as options if anyone was into those. But I also ordered a lavender and a watermelon color that's kind of like pastel-y red that I can't wait to show up and see what the pencils look like out of those colors. Also, like dimension wise, I didn't want these to be like absolutely massive, but I didn't want them also to be really puny, because the pencil does of course have to taper to look like a pencil, so the hole itself is a little smaller than the rest of it. I believe that it is still like 10 centimeters from like side to side, but obviously all of the specific measurements and stuff will be in the store listing for these if you want to know like specific size dimensions and things like that. Yeah, these just feel really nice. They're printing really well, so I hope you guys like this concept as much as I do, because I'm gonna have like so many of these on my desk, it's probably going to be obnoxious. I will make sure that the pencil organizers will be available in my store when this video goes up as well, so if you are interested in picking one of those up, you can right now. That's the somewhat unplanned store update segment of this studio vlog, and now I have to go back to doing something that I'm not entirely sure what I finished doing the last time, which I think the next thing I need to do is actually paint palettes. But I've probably forgotten something else because that's how this week is going. Alright, so I'm finally at the point where I'm going to start mixing up all of these bottles, and I've attempted to figure out a bit of a game plan for this. So the first, I guess, slight problem is that I normally mix up all of the paint to like pouring medium, Floetrol ratio, whatever, by texture. Like the viscosity that it drips off of a popsicle stick is how I figure out if it's, you know, the right consistency for my personal preference. So I can't really do that if I mix it straight in the bottle. So I'm gonna have to mix the colors up in cups first and try and reuse as many as I can for the different colors, wash them out, whatever, then put them in the bottle. And then I also thought I would use my little thermal printer to create color labels for the bottle so that I know exactly what the color is called, so that when I need to mix more up in the future, I know it's in that bottle. I'm not sure if I should do the container, but I think I did the bottles. But yeah, that's not all of the bottles that I have, but we might just stop there so that all of them fit in this container, so it's really convenient for me to just put the container places and then pull it out when I need to. Okay, I've got my setup here going, and I guess I'm just gonna put some YouTube videos on or something while I mix up a crazy amount of paint. Here is the aftermath of the paint craziness. Honestly, there are definitely some colors that I could mix up in large bottles other than these, but like I mentioned, these are the ones that all fit in here, and this was like all of the colors that I bought in big bottles, plus some of just my general, I know I use them all of the time. So there's like a pretty good mix in there, and then I can always like mix up more of the specialty colors like the duochrome ones and the different other metallic colors. I did mix up a giant thing of bronze because I'm always using that. And the other thing is also there are the pre-mixed pouring ones down there. I figured I would just stop at those ones for now because I have like all the other colors that I might have mixed up in there right now with the pre-mixed ones that I bought. So yeah, that is what these look like. I'm not sure if these labels are gonna stay stuck to the bottles because it's kind of that plastic texture that nothing really likes sticking to, but it's better than nothing for now, I guess. Yeah, now I have the super fun job of cleaning all of this up. It literally took me like an entire afternoon to get all of my cookie sheets and everything cleaned up, but I've got all of my compact palette lids taped up and ready to roll there. Of course, the paint that I just mixed up, the pre-mixed paint in this container, and I've picked out these colors to mix up just in cups the normal way that I used to do it all of the time, just because I don't have these in bottles and I would like to use them as well. I also cut some cups up because I want to try the like open cup pours. I don't know, I'm sure somebody's come up with a name for that, but it looks really cool and I want to try it out. And then I have my cup recycling situation here that I've probably mentioned before, but I do try and reuse the plastic cups as many times as I possibly can get out of them. I end up essentially grading the cups, so I have ones that are like pretty cleaned out, like these ones are not the cleaned out ones, and the bottoms are really rough, so I use those just to like prop the palettes on top of when they're drying, but then the ones that I can clean out basically perfectly get paint mixed back in them. Great idea to reuse your cups as much as possible. And then I have the Ocean Breeze or whatever this stuff is called that I mixed way too much of that I will be using from this cup instead of the tube for today. Yeah, that is the situation, and I'm gonna go ahead and actually start getting those painted. also a little closet update. Of course, I have this printer now printing pencil bottoms, but I also had to buy another one of the like stacky things, and I sort of started to reorganize everything. This was just like overflowing with individual pieces all over the place, and it was absolutely insane. And so I started to actually fill the bottoms with the pieces so that I could figure out exactly how many of each piece I still needed. So that's what's going on here. I have like some DIY ones, and then all of these are good to go minus their painted lid. But yeah, that's what that is looking like now. So the rest of the color options for the pencils here all printed so that I can now show you. So of course the black and the white, like I mentioned, I figured I always have these filament colors around, so might as well print a couple of those to see what they look like, just as options for anyone that might want something a little more subtle. We then have the lavender color and the watermelon, and these are both really nice matte, like pastel-y colors. They're just printing up so nicely. And the last one, which I'm not entirely sure about, but I figured I would show you here, and if I don't decide to put it up, you can tell me what you think of it. I wanted to try a rainbow filament. Now, if I did decide to do these, they would have to be like mystery boxes, because if you don't know, rainbow filament, it's like randomized, essentially, is the easiest way to describe it. So the cool thing is every pencil would be unique. Like, there would probably never be a single pencil that I would print that would look exactly like another one, which is cool. But obviously this one I feel like looks quite interesting, but then the other ones aren't going to look like that, and I don't know. I might do this. I'm trying out another like gradient rainbow filament to see what it looks like. So I might put these up, but they're going to end up being mysteries because I do think this looks cool. I'm just not sure the logistics of the randomization and how that might work for future pencils. But this one at the very least was a very cool and interesting experiment. So I'm glad I tried it out, and obviously this pencil line could expand into a lot of other colors in the future, like limited edition colors, whatever. I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but how these are going to work right now is I can get like 5 of each color. Let me pull a color that actually adheres to this that I am definitely going to be selling. I can get like 5 of the bottoms out of a roll of filament, and so there's going to be 5 of each color available to start off with, and then I will look at restocking the colors that sell out first, because presumably those are the most popular colors. So that's what's going to happen. So these are going to be somewhat limited for the moment, but I am going to look at buying more rolls of the colors that sell out, just to, you know, see the popularity of the different colors and stuff, because this was an expanded launch. I started with 4 colors and now it's up to at least 8, if not 9 if I do the mystery box ones. So yeah, let me get all of these together so we can see them all. Ta-da! Those look super cool, obviously. The black and the white are over here, but there's only so many I can fit in camera. And yes, these are still full because I didn't actually take the pictures like I said I was going to, because I figured I should probably do all of the like store pictures when I had all of the colors that I wanted printed. I'm just so excited about these, so I hope you guys love them and buy them so that I can continue to buy super cool filament colors and make more. That's probably the final update for these pencil organizers, since I'm now just going to be printing a bunch out of the different colors now that they're all finalized, and I've got like my one that I need for picture taking purposes for my site. And yeah, I guess back to the other store prep that I need to be doing. So I've got all of the lids cleaned up and ready to get pictures of all of them. There's lids everywhere. I did already take pictures of the pencils and I completely forgot to film that like an idiot, so I will insert them here because I really love how those turned out. But I'm going to set up my desk area to get pictures of all of these compact palette lids. And that is a wrap on the picture taking for this wave of compact palettes. I of course now need to go edit all of these and get them scheduled and up on my store. And I also need to edit this studio vlog. So like I've probably mentioned already in this video, all of these are going to be available in my store right now along with the new pencil organizers. The link will be in the top of the description box if you are interested in picking any of them up. Yeah, that is everything. So thank you so much for joining me for another studio vlog, and I will see you in my next video.